Good evening. My name is Nick Anziano. My topic tonight is immigration and the English language. Now, immigration is a very large issue in today's news. Most of the controversy regarding immigration is concerned with its legality. We've all heard of the strict immigration law dispute in Arizona, and heightened border security and obtaining legal citizenship have been a topic among analysts for decades. According to the 2009 U.S. Census Bureau, 42.4% of the U.S. population speaks a language, 5 years and older, speaks a language other than English, and 46.9% of that group of people speaks English less than very well. My proposition tonight is that immigrants in the United States that wish to become permanent residents and fail to attempt to learn the English language are a detriment to American society. Now, by detriment, I mean, in this case, someone that holds back our nation's progress towards the common goal of unity. English is the common language that Americans rely on, and it is therefore our foundation for communication. I have 4 claims to support my point. The first is that driving without knowledge of the English language is very dangerous. Second, failure to speak English results in a lack of contribution to the workforce. Third, to apply for citizenship, one must be able to read, write, speak, and understand English. And fourth, that immigrants that do not learn the English language unnecessarily perpetuate stereotypes. My first point, driving without knowledge of the English language is dangerous, is supported by a few facts. First, street signs are posted throughout the nation in English. There are international street signs and symbols throughout the highways and on business roads and residential streets. However, there are still streets that have 1 or 2 word phrases in English, such as no parking, which is usually followed by details, such as between the hours of 5 o'clock and 9 o'clock p.m., things like that. Or also slow, which can be found, the sign slow, which can be found in construction sites and other places. Second, when someone that does not speak English is involved in a car accident with someone that does speak English, exchange of information, like insurance, that kind of thing, is difficult. And also, in case of emergency medical need, translators or interpreters are not always readily available, and this can lead to a very significant lack of communication between the victims and between the victims and also the doctors, surgeons, or the paramedics. My second point is that failure to speak English results in a lack of contribution to the workforce. While there are certain job opportunities that do not require a foundation of the English language, they are few and far between. And many non-English speakers find themselves without work for that very reason. According to Maria Luisa Amato, an analyst in the field of Mexican immigrants in the labor market, many uneducated immigrants and non-English speaking immigrants resort to looking for jobs on street corners as a means of survival, without conditions or expectations in terms of compensation, stability, or the risks involved in the work. Most equal opportunity employers that employ non-English speakers often provide and expect English training, or ESL, English as a Second Language. Arturo Gonzalez, a research fellow at the Public Policy Institute of California, states that increased English ability is rewarded in the labor market. Because the learned skills will contribute economically to the workers' well-being, there is a willingness to pay for English training, or ESL, in a private institutional setting. There are also free public English training courses provided to help integrate immigrants into society. My third subpoint is that to apply for citizenship, one must be able to read, write, speak, and understand words in ordinary usage in the English language. Now, citizenship is an important goal for many immigrants. The right to vote can only be obtained upon becoming a U.S. citizen. And many government jobs in the United States require U.S. citizenship, and children of immigrants that have become U.S. citizens pay less for tuition than they would if they were considered out of state. The Assembly Office of Research, in a report on immigration reform and the English language amendment, states that since November of 1986, English has been the designated official language in the state of California and must be used in public settings such as the court, classrooms, etc. The state supports instruction in ESL and citizenship classes in order for the naturalization process to be fully completed. My fourth point is that immigrants that do not learn the English language unnecessarily perpetuate stereotypes. The American culture has never been completely willing to accept immigrants. This can be found all throughout American history, from Irish immigrants that were put out of the workforce in the 19th century, and so on. The lack of willingness on the part of some non-English speaking immigrants to learn the language masks the efforts of those immigrants who truly do wish to adapt. And also, stereotypes lead to hate crimes and other unnecessary treatment. According to FBI records, in 2007, over 9,000 hate crimes were committed against individuals. Now, these hate crimes can be avoided if immigrants that don't speak English would simply assimilate a little more and just attempt to learn the language. I hope that this information that I presented to you tonight leads you to agree with me that immigrants that do not learn the English language hold back our progress as a nation towards unity. Thank you.
Well, you set up the topic pretty well. We know what the subject is, and you give us some background information on controversy related to it. It's not as direct as your topic is, but it does show us why we ought to be thinking about these kinds of issues. You got a very clear statement of your proposition. That's fine. You have an excellent setup of what the structure is going to be. That's really good. You're signposting all the points as you're getting to them. So organizationally, everything is really easy to follow. That part, you know, the structural stuff in the speech, that's really solid. Now, the support on the first point is all hypothetical examples, and I think that that's a little bit problematic. You don't have any data on accidents or issues relating to this. You don't have a particular example, a specific example. You just have the hypothetical. So there may, in fact, be a problem there, but we don't know that. Like I said, it seems pretty speculative, and I think that that's problematic. The second and the third points, though, you had a little bit of statistical data, but you had substantial quoted material to show that those problems exist, and I thought that you did a much better job supporting those points. The fourth point, when you're talking about hate crimes, I just thought that the connection that you made there was a stretch. There's nothing that indicates that any of those 9,000 hate crimes was connected to the inability of somebody to speak a language or even to their ethnicity. I don't know what the basis of those hate crimes might be, but neither do you, and I think that that's the problem in making that argument on that particular point. But the middle 2 points I thought you did a pretty good job on, and that's where your generalizations were the strongest. You had very solid eye contact with the audience from the very beginning. The presentation is smooth and polished while you're speaking, so you're building credibility that way. Like I said, I just think that the first and last points are underdeveloped in connection to the issue that you're talking about. The middle 2 points were a little bit more solid, although there's not as much statistical data on some of those points as we might want to have in order to make those inferences more solid. All right, thank you.